Daniel had always loved quiet places. While most people preferred cities or beaches, he felt most alive in the wide, empty desert. The desert did not speak loudly, but it had 1,000 stories if someone listened carefully. As a wildlife photographer, he often spent days alone, carrying nothing but his camera, a water pack, and a small notebook where he wrote about the animals he saw. This trip was supposed to be just another journey into the peaceful silence he loved so much. The sun was moving slowly across the sky when Daniel set out that morning. The desert air was warm, not too hot yet, and the sky was a clear blue that stretched forever. He walked along a narrow trail that curved around low cliffs and dry bushes. Every few minutes, he stopped to take pictures, sometimes of a bird resting on a rock, sometimes of the strange shadows created by twisted cactus plants. To him, these small details were beautiful. By afternoon, Daniel had reached an area he had never explored before. It was a long, uneven stretch of land that dropped into a deep ravine. The rocks were reddish-brown, shaped by years of wind. There was nothing unusual about the place, but for some reason, it felt different today. Maybe it was the quiet, or maybe it was the way the wind seemed to change direction without warning. Daniel didn't worry about it. He simply adjusted the straps on his backpack and kept walking. Then he heard something faint. At first, he thought it was the wind brushing past the cliff walls. But the sound came again, soft, shaky, like a whisper carried through the air. He stopped and listened more carefully. There it was again. It almost sounded like someone calling for help, but it was so weak he wasn't sure. Daniel stepped closer to the edge of the ravine. He looked down and scanned the area. There were large rocks scattered everywhere, and thin plants growing between them. For a moment, he saw nothing unusual, but then his eyes caught movement, a small shift of color between two rocks. He leaned forward and squinted. A person was down there. It was a woman. She was sitting against a rock, holding her ankle with both hands, her face tight with pain. She looked tired, as if she had been there for a long time. Daniel's heart jumped. Without thinking twice, he shouted, "Hey, are you okay?" The woman lifted her head slowly. Her voice was soft, but he could hear the strain in it. "I'm here," she said. "I slipped. I can't walk." Daniel knew he had to get down there. The slope was not too deep, but it was tricky. He took a careful path, one steady step at a time. Loose stones rolled under his boots, but he kept going until he finally reached the bottom. Up close, he could see that the woman was an Apache tribal member. Her clothes were simple and worn, and around her neck she wore a small beaded necklace that looked handmade. "My name is Daniel," he said gently as he approached. "I'm here to help." "What's your name?" "Naya," she responded quietly. He knelt beside her and asked what happened. She explained that she had been collecting plants used for traditional medicine. She had done it many times before, but today she misstepped on a loose rock and twisted her ankle. She tried to stand, but the pain was too much. She had been sitting there for hours, hoping someone would pass by. Daniel offered her his water bottle. She accepted it gratefully, taking slow sips. Her hands were slightly dusty, and her forehead was warm from the sun. He could see she was exhausted. "Let me check your ankle," he said. She nodded. Daniel had some basic first aid skills from his years of traveling, so he carefully examined her foot. It was swollen, but not broken. He helped adjust her position so the pain eased a little. She smiled faintly, relieved. "You're very kind," she said. "Not many people come this way." Daniel gave a shy smile. "I'm glad I did today." The next problem was getting out of the ravine. Naya couldn't walk normally, but she could lean on him. He supported her by letting her wrap one arm around his shoulder. Slowly, they moved toward the slope. It took patience. Every few steps, they had to stop so she could rest. Daniel spoke to her to keep her calm, asking where she lived, how often she came here, and about the plants she collected. She seemed surprised at how much he wanted to learn, but she answered gently. Naya told him she was an herbalist in her community. She learned from her grandmother how different plants could heal the body. She described the plants she had been collecting that day, ones used for headaches, others for skin irritation, and some for calming the mind. Daniel listened with interest. The way she spoke about her culture was full of pride and respect as they climbed up the slope. The sun was lowering behind the cliffs. Shadows stretched across the desert floor. Daniel was getting tired too, but he didn't show it. He knew Naya needed his strength. Sometimes she apologized for slowing him down, but he told her it was fine. When they finally reached the top, Daniel helped her sit on a flat rock. She looked around, taking slow breaths. Her face softened as if she felt safer now. They still had a long walk ahead, but she told him that there was a tribal outpost about 3 miles away. From there, she could get proper help. Daniel had never been to an Apache outpost before, but he agreed without hesitation. He readjusted his bag, helped Naya stand, and they began walking side by side. The desert was cooler now, and the sky had turned orange with hints of pink. The quiet around them was calm, almost comforting. Naya seemed more relaxed too. She asked him about his photography, and he told her about the animals he had seen that day: the quick lizard that escaped his camera, the hawk that circled above him, and the small rabbit that froze like a statue when he approached. Naya laughed softly at some of his stories. Her laugh was gentle, like a breeze through leaves. It made Daniel smile. Even though she was in pain, she carried herself with calm strength. He admired that. They walked slowly but steadily for nearly an hour. The outpost came into view just when the sky began turning purple. It was a small cluster of wooden buildings, simple but full of life. A few people were outside, talking and preparing evening meals. When they saw Naya leaning on Daniel, they hurried over. The people greeted her with concern and relief. One of them took her arm while another brought a chair. Daniel stepped back, giving them space. He watched as they thanked him for helping her. He nodded politely, not wanting any attention. After a few minutes, Daniel said he should leave before it got to dark. But before he could take more than a step, Naya reached out and called his name. He turned back. She looked calm now, even peaceful, but there was something serious in her eyes. "Please wait," she said. "You helped me when I had no one. I want to thank you in a proper way. Stay until sunset. I have something important to give you." Daniel was surprised. He wasn't expecting anything. To him, helping her was simply the right thing to do. But the sincerity in her voice made it hard to refuse. He nodded quietly. Naya smiled, a soft, grateful smile that seemed to carry deeper meaning. The people around her looked at Daniel with warm eyes, as if they already knew something he didn't, and so he stayed. He didn't yet know that her way of thanking him would be unlike anything he had ever experienced before, something that would stay with him for the rest of his life. Daniel waited near the outpost, unsure of what was going to happen. The sun was slowly falling behind the distant mountains, painting the sky in soft colors of gold and rose. The desert air felt cooler now, and a gentle breeze moved across the land. People in the outpost walked around quietly, preparing for the evening. They glanced at Daniel with kind faces, as if they already knew something he did not. He felt welcome, even though he was a stranger. Naya was resting inside one of the small wooden structures. Someone had wrapped her ankle and given her water and food. Daniel expected she would need time to recover, but she asked for him soon after. One of the elders, an older man with long gray hair tied behind his back, came out to tell Daniel that she was ready to see him. Daniel followed him to a quiet area behind the outpost. The elder walked slowly, his steps steady, his presence calm. Daniel felt a sense of respect without knowing why. When they reached an open space surrounded by smooth stones, Daniel saw Naya sitting on a low bench. Her injured foot was placed comfortably on a folded blanket. She looked tired yet peaceful, as if she had found strength again. When she saw Daniel, her face brightened. "Thank you for staying," she said softly. "Of course," Daniel replied. "How's your ankle?" "It hurts less," she said. "But that is not why I asked you to stay." Daniel waited, unsure what she meant. She looked at him thoughtfully, as though deciding where to begin. "In my community," she started, "gratitude is something we express with much care. We do not say thank you with simple gifts. We honor people with meaning. Today, you helped me in a moment when I felt helpless. You carried me with kindness. You showed patience and respect. That means something to us." Daniel felt a little embarrassed. "Anyone would have helped you," he said. Naya shook her head gently. Not everyone stops. Not everyone climbs down into a difficult place for a stranger. You did. Before Daniel could respond, a few more people joined the circle. They were elders, each carrying small items in their hands, bundles of dried plants, a clay bowl, and a small woven cloth. They placed these gently on the ground. The scene felt peaceful, not formal or strict, just warm and full of purpose. Nai continued, I want to share something with you that is part of our tradition. It is a way of giving protection and good path to someone who has shown true heart. Usually, only our own people receive it. But today, the elders agreed to share it with you. Daniel was surprised. He had not expected anything like this. He felt honored yet uncertain. Are you sure? He asked quietly. I don't want to disrespect anything. The elder who guided Daniel earlier stepped closer. His voice was gentle but full of wisdom. Respect is something you carry inside. We can feel it. That is why this is right. Daniel nodded. He took a slow breath, trying to prepare himself without fully knowing for what. As the last light of day faded, the ceremony began. The elders sat in a small circle with Daniel and Naya. One of them lit a bundle of dry plants. A light smoke rose into the air, dancing softly before drifting away. The scent was earthy and calming. Daniel felt something inside him grow quiet, like the world around him was settling into peace. Naya spoke words in her language, soft, steady words that flowed like water. Though Daniel did not understand the meaning, he felt the kindness in her voice. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply, her hands resting gently in her lap. One of the elders dipped his hand into the clay bowl, which held a mixture made from dessert leaves. He drew a small symbol on the back of Daniel's hand. The touch was light, almost like a whisper. Daniel looked at the mark, simple and beautiful, though he did not understand its meaning. This, the elder said, is for safe travels. May your path be clear. Another elder placed a woven cloth around Daniel's shoulders. It was light, handmade with soft colors that matched the desert at sunset. This is warmth, she said, for the times you feel alone. Daniel felt a wave of emotion he couldn't quite explain. It wasn't excitement or surprise. It was something deeper, something gentle and uplifting. He didn't know how to express it, so he simply bowed his head slightly. Then Naya held out a small pouch made of leather. It was decorated with tiny beads that shimmered faintly in the low light. This, she said, is what I promised you. Inside is a plant we gather with care. It helps calm the mind and the heart. I collected it earlier today, before I fell. I want you to have it. Daniel took the pouch with both hands. It felt strangely powerful, though very light. He looked at Naya. Thank you, he said. But this feels like too much. It is not too much, she replied. It is what feels right. The ceremony continued for a few more minutes, filled with soft words, quiet smiles, and the gentle movement of the cool evening air. The sky above them turned into a blanket of stars, bright and endless. Daniel felt the moment settling into him, becoming part of him in a way he couldn't fully understand yet. When the ceremony ended, the elders slowly stood and returned to the outpost, leaving Daniel and Naya sitting quietly together. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence was not heavy, it was peaceful, like a comfortable space where thoughts could rest. Finally, Naya turned to him. Do you know why we do things this way? She asked. Daniel shook his head. I'm not sure, he said. But it felt meaningful. She smiled. Because kindness is not something small. When someone gives it, they give part of themselves. And we believe that kind actions create paths that continue long after the moment ends. You helped me today, but perhaps the help will continue in another way. Daniel looked at the pouch again, then at the woven cloth on his shoulders. I don't know what to say, he admitted. You don't need to say anything, she said. Just carry this moment with you. Let it remind you that every step you take is part of a bigger journey. Her words settled into Daniel's heart slowly, like water filling quiet spaces. He felt lighter and heavier at the same time, lighter in spirit, heavier with meaning. Eventually, Naya grew tired and needed to rest, so Daniel helped her back to her cabin. She thanked him again, though this time her voice carried calm assurance, not weakness. Before she went inside, she said something Daniel would remember for the rest of his life. Sometimes the person who rescues another ends up receiving something unexpected, the kind of healing that doesn't come from medicine. Daniel did not fully understand her meaning at that moment, but he felt its truth. Late that night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Daniel stayed outside for a while, sitting under the open sky. He looked at the small pouch again, feeling its smooth leather between his fingers. Every time he touched it, he remembered the soft smoke, the symbols, the peaceful words. In the quiet desert around him, he realized that what had shocked him wasn't the ceremony itself. It was the trust he had been given. It was the way a group of people he had never met had opened their hearts to him. It was the reminder that kindness still lives strongly in the world, even in the quietest corners. When Daniel finally stood up to rest, he looked one last time at the stars above him. They seemed brighter that night, as if they were part of the gift he had received. And from that day on, whenever he walked alone in the desert, he never truly felt alone again.